This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. A lot going on in the world of professional fishing. Right now we have the final invitational of the 2025 season going on the St. Lawrence River on the MLF side. Recent announcement, he kind of snuck it in there. He did it right at the end. Dan O'Sullivan from Advanced Angler works a lot with the anglers. I saw a press release that came out last night late. Shaw Grigsby retiring full-time from professional angling. Obviously, you go back, like you look at his career kind of started back in the Redman All-American days. And then, you know, he's had the TV show, long time tour angler, like kind of one of my first kind of tournaments that I covered was when he was in that pond in Florida with Grant Goldbeck and they were battling it out, sight fish for sight fish. I've gotten to spend some time at Shaw's house, actually filming some stuff for Bassmaster with him. He's gator heads everywhere, and like his office is just out of this world with all of the different things that he's done. But Hall of Famer Shaw Grigsby retiring full time so he can help wrestle nuisance alligators with his family. That's what the press release said. So I saw him at I saw that he was at ICAST. I'm sure he's still going to be around, but man, you know, Skeet Reese, Shaw Grigsby, we had KVD, a bunch of different guys kind of running down. But that's also, I think, one of the cool things about this sport is the longevity in it. And you can kind of reinvent yourself, and you can. It's not a narrow window to do this. But after this week, hopefully Shaw will have a great smallmouth. Well, who knows? He might go catch 25 pounds of largemouth, and it was awesome. Big old pigs, you know, at the St. Lawrence. But we'll get him on BTL after that. Also, the third Division I, I think, Bassmaster Open going on the Chesapeake Bay. I fished that one a couple years ago, and it was like pulling teeth to get a bite. I'm already looking at Bass Track, and I think the flats must be playing because there's a lot of guys who are catching fish on that. And then we ramp back up, but no Elite Series action going on, which is why I'm able to get the guests that I have on today. It's long overdue. I've seen him at some sports shows, and I've seen him over the last couple of years. I'm like, dude, I need to get you back on BTL. And then he was on Bass After Dark. That was months ago now, but they did like a square bill show, and it was Cliff Pace, and I've watched that show twice. He was with, I think, Kevin Short was on there, and I'm gonna die because he's like the not Bagley. Who else was on that show, Cliff?
Lee Sisson.
Yes, Lee Sisson from like one of the best balsa crankbait guys ever. That was an awesome show, but man, like, you killed it on that Bass After Dark episode. If you guys haven't watched that, go back and watch that. It's like all about how to fish a square bill. I loved that show, Cliff.
Yeah, that was a fun show. You know, Kevin and Lee are both longtime friends of mine, so it was almost like we just got to hang out and talk for an hour. So it was a good time. Yeah,
like you kind of like took control of that show, like just the stuff you were asking us, like you were going deep into the weeds on little minute stuff. And I texted Brian the Carpenter afterwards and was like, dude, Cliff killed that show. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, we didn't have to do anything. Like, he knew where it went and was asking the right questions and running that thing. So anyway, how's your first year back on the Elite Series, Cliff?
Man, everything's been great except for the fishing. I haven't fished well this year. I don't really know why. I've had some really good tournaments, but I've had some really bad tournaments, probably some of the worst tournaments I've had in my career. And I don't really have an answer for that. I don't know. I guess sometimes this sport just treats you that way. We've had several events this year where I just really haven't quite got dialed in, hadn't really kind of been able to get comfortable. And you get scrambled around, you get trying to do too much, and before it's over, you're out of time and you've had a bad event. But I'm enjoying being back there. That's where I want to be as far as a platform is concerned. There's a lot of great platforms now, in my opinion, almost too many. It's hard to say that there's too many because as long as guys are fishing them, it's good for the sport, right? The more opportunity that's out there, the better. But we're starting to see trails now that we're not getting full events, full participation in events, and that hasn't been the case, for the last decade. Pretty much anything that was out there, it gets filled up, and you start having these, less than full events, and it starts affecting your payout, and it starts affecting people's desire to do it, and I think we're at that point right now in the sport where we need to do as much as we can, but at the same time, we need to, really, really kind of promote and grow what we've got established. So we'll see what the next few years hold out. But I'm glad to be back at Bass. Glad to be fishing the Elite Series. Definitely where I want to be. I'm just looking forward to doing a little better.
Yeah, I know you fished some opens there in 21, and then you came back in 24. And then one of the things that I really like about Bass, I think like the Legends exemption is a really good thing.
It is, and MLF is doing that now as well. Mm-hmm. They just really don't talk about it. I mean, a lot of guys don't realize that's how Bobby Lane got back in.
Yep,
Bobby used his Red Crest win. That's a Legend exemption to get back into the BPT. So, both organizations are doing that, and with guys, the way things are now, with everything so shook up, with guys either having sponsors that want them to move or themselves personally wanting to move. Having that Legend exemption is beneficial for them, and I really can say I don't think that when you put a guy that's got a Legend exemption in any of these fields, you're putting a guy in there that, even though I've had a bad year this year, you're putting a guy in there that does have the capacity to compete and does deserve to be there. So it is a good thing. Man, I was sitting there listening as you were going through your intro, and two things I want to talk about. The first thing, did you say this is your 21st year?
Yeah, so I've been doing it.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
we were setting this up last night, and Tiffany, my wife, was asking me about the show and stuff, and I was telling her, I was like, I've known Matt for a long time, and she was like, well, when did you meet him, and how? And I was like, honestly, I've known him for so long that I really don't know. Like, you've always, as long as I've been in this sport, you've always been around, been a part of it, various different aspects of it. But 21 years is quite the little stretch, brother.
Yeah. So for me, it's only since 2007. So Jeffrey started it a couple of years before that. So 2007, right. 17, 20. So 18
yeah,
for
me.
I mean,
18
so like,
still ain't bad.
Yeah, your first year on the Elite Series is what, 2007?
Maybe.
I think was that the year 2007 would have been. Yeah. So 2007 was the first year I started covering them. I was still in college at the time. So yeah, basically since you've been on tour, it's weird. Like I remember when Brandon Polinick was on the cover of Bass Times in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt after he won the nation championship. And at that time, I was like at that amount of time in the industry where I thought I like knew how everything worked. That like kind of that 4 years, you're like in it and stuff. And you're like, what an idiot. This guy had such a great sponsor opportunity to have a jersey on the cover of Bass Times. And he wore a t-shirt. And that turned out that was Brandon Polinick back in the day. We had to have like meetings between me and Mark. We were like arguing on how to say his last name and stuff. But it's crazy how I mean, especially when you're doing, I think you can attest to this, Cliff, when you're doing something that you're passionate about. It's amazing how fast time moves when you like take a second and look back on it.
Man, I think regardless of what you're doing, I think time moves so fast. It's crazy. I've been very blessed. I've been able to pursue basically a passion-driven life my whole life, and been very fortunate to be able to kind of make that pencil out and work for the most part. But I mean, we all have friends that do all different sorts of walks of life, and I think once you get, at a certain point, I don't know what that number is. I guess it varies for everybody, where you just kind of get you kind of get locked into a routine, right?
Hmm.
Your life is kind of very routine from day to day, and I think we create that as humans because it honestly is the easiest way to live. But once you get into that mode, it's just like, man, you're just clicking those calendar pages off, and you don't even realize how fast it's going. Like it's crazy to me that it's July now. I mean, this year has went by so fast, but I've said that for like the last 5 or 6 years. And I also think that it seems like the more things a person has going on, the faster time goes by. And but at the same time, I think that also probably delivers to me the most fulfilling life. I mean, I don't want to sit around and be bored or sit around and just let things drag out. I'm the type of person that's always trying to do something, always trying to move forward in something, no matter what it is. If I'm messing with it, I'm kind of all in or all out kind of human.
Yeah. I sit here, I'm looking at this like yearly planner. I think one of the things with the bass fishing world is when there's always something like on the horizon, right? Like if I think that's kind of what drives me. Like I'm looking like I'm already, I've been thinking about leech every day for the last month because I've sucked so bad in the first opens. I'm like redemption tournament, like had a good tournament there last year. And I think as fishermen, like we always have, you always have, well, with you with business, you have like deadlines on this is when this bait's dropping, this is what this is coming out. Then you have your tournaments where you're always working. I think as long as you have like a goal that you're working towards, that's excited, that's getting you up in the morning like that, I think that's also part of why. Like you look at, like I'm looking at that calendar and I remember doing it in December and I'm like, holy cow, half of the damn calendar's empty now. Like we're
Yeah,
already halfway over. It's always having that next thing. When I think there's a lot of I think that's what a lot of the driving the bass fishing, like whether you're fishing the Tuesday nighter and you're trying to win the championship at the end of the year, you've got a Bass Nation tournament coming up in 2 weeks or something like that.
you've
Like
got something to look forward to
yeah,
every day when you get up and put your shoes on.
yeah,
And man, I've gotten back into that this year. I've been fishing a bunch of local stuff around home this year, and
really,
I haven't in a long time. I mean, like a long time. As a matter of fact, we fished a tournament the other day on a lake that's close to me. It's only like 45 minutes away, and it's the first tournament I fished there since 2002. So it's been 23 years since I fished a tournament there. Um, I've been fishing with an old group of friends on Tuesday night. We fished last night, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I really realize how much I missed it. Um, and just the camaraderie of it. And I've had some good tournaments around here and had some not so good ones. I think that's just fishing on any level. But you're right. A human, everybody's different. But I am, it seems to me, my happiest when I have those things that I'm planning for, that I'm looking ahead to. Um, be it tournaments, be it things that we're trying to accomplish here at the shop, um, be it things that you've got going on with your family. My daughter started school back yesterday, so that was kind of a thing on our calendar that you had to kind of be ready for. But it's it is amazing how fast life goes, and it's something that the older I get, the more I think have taken for granted throughout my life, just how fast it does go. And I've watched the last few years. I've watched Kevin retire. I've watched
mm-hmm.
Skeet announce this year that he's going to retire. I heard today that Shaw was going to retire. Um, Man, those guys are guys that's the really one of the cool things about this sport is most anglers stay in this sport for, what would you say an average career is for a very identifiable angler? 30 years.
Yeah, I mean,
So 25 to
25 to
30
30
years,
years
right?
is not abnormal.
Yeah, so I mean, what happens is you take a guy like me that grew up in his teens, kind of almost idolizing these guys, um, and then by the time you go through the process of becoming eligible to compete, those guys are still there. So you actually get to go compete against, like, for me, it was like my childhood hero. So, but like in football or baseball, if you grow up watching a particular player, by the time, if you do make it, by the time you get there, uh, those particular athletes have played out. They're done. The rotation's so much faster. So that's one of the cool things. I mean, all the guys you mentioned today about retiring, I mean, I consider them all to be friends now because I've been competing against them for, the last 15 plus years, and especially Shaw. Um, Shaw's a great, probably one of the best spokespersons that our sport has ever had. I
Mhm.
mean, Shaw on his worst day has a better attitude than I normally have on my best day. And I've always really admired that about him. I've always really respected it about him. And Shaw's always been a very straightforward, type of guy, type of person. And he's been a really good person to have had in our sport. And the thing about it is even though Shaw's not competing, I don't feel like we're losing Shaw. I think
No.
he would always advocate, for our sport, through whatever he's got going on in life, just because he's always been that passionate about it. And I will say Shaw was a very passion driven person too. So those nuisance alligators are probably going to become his new calendar, if I had to guess, like you and I were talking about. So they're
Yeah.
they're fixing to be in a bind.
Yeah. I mean, I would put Shaw so foresight in this sport is, or game, whatever you want to call this, is very beneficial. And now you're seeing, and you're a prime example, and we'll get into this later in the show, as multiple revenue streams, you wear different hats. You can put on your Elite Series professional angler hat, you can put on your bait maker hat, you can put on your business owner hat, but you have multiple different things that you're doing to make this work for cliff pace fishing, for Black Label tackle, for the balsa design side of it. But like, if I was to do like a Mount Rushmore of the OG guys who realized that just the on the water stuff, like, you have to expand the true guys who really helped use the catchphrase grow the sport. Like, I wrote it down here. I would put that tournament fished, right? So there's stuff on the outside, but I would put Roland Martin, Bill Dance, Hank Parker, Jimmy Houston, and Shaw Grigsby. And they all have a lot in common as far as the TV shows,
Absolutely.
their attitude growing the sport. But Shaw, 100%, like, that's my top 5 right there when it comes to guys who could kick your ass in a tournament, guys who can create fans for life of the sport, like we just saw with Steve Harvey and Bill Dance at ICAST, where Steve's like, dude, like, here's a multimillionaire dude who's like, dude, you saved my life when I was a kid, and I got into fishing because of that. And Shaw is 100% on that list. Shaw, Roland, Bill, Hank, and Jimmy, all first name, single name guys.
Yeah, and in their era of time, I think that was the best platform that was available to them, was to do the TV deal. And there's quite a few more that have done that. I mean, Timmy's another one. You could say has made a pretty good push at using TV to teach people, and not only teach people, but also grow his brand and his platform. But it seems like we're reaching a point in the sport where that's kind of not the trend anymore. But the thing I will say about this, and this is the one thing that's truly unique to me, of all those guys you just mentioned, okay, you take Bill, you take
Hank, Jimmy,
Hank,
Roland.
you take Bill and Hank. Bill and Hank didn't really fish tournaments that long.
Yeah, Hank won 2 classics and was like, all right, I got the resume. Let's go make some money now.
Yeah, and Bill, I think Bill fished even a lesser period of time than what Hank did. Roland hung in there and fished for a lot of years, and so did Jimmy. But a lot of those years, Jimmy was fishing during the FLW. I don't think he was fishing the full.
I think he was. Yeah, he was just. He was kind of just fishing. He was on the Elite Series in 2006. Jimmy was an OG Elite Series guy. Ran I think a camo jersey on it, and
yep. But those guys most of those guys really, the competitive aspect of the sport drove them for a brief period of time, and then they kind of moved out of that more so. And now you don't really see that as much. And you also don't see a lot of these guys that are doing the 2-hat deal anymore. There's very few of them. There's a lot of people I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get a bunch of kickback for this, and if I do, that's fine. But it is the truth, and I will first say that fishing has been great for me and my family. Fishing has been my entire life since I was. I don't ever. There's not a point in my life where like a defining moment where I was like, man, this is what I want to do. This is what I always like. I can never remember a point in time when I didn't want to be a professional fisherman, and at the same time, I can't remember a point in my life when I wasn't obsessed with tinkering and building like a better mousetrap, for lack of better words, for fishing. All related to fishing. But I will say that there is a harsh reality in our sport that's really not talked about right now, and it's becoming it's becoming and is going to become, in my opinion, a bigger problem. We're putting a lot of youth through these programs now, um, and a lot of them are thinking that the grass is so green as a professional fisherman without realizing all the extra things that you have to do. They're at that age, they're just focused on the fishing part of it, and there's not really a lot of concern of the, how do you make it financially just fishing all the time, and what other things do you need to do to be able to get to that point in a career where you have the ability to, you know, be financially secure. And you're seeing that starting to take an impact, and you're seeing that start to show up in our sport. I mean, we've had guys that have, I've seen more guys in recent years, not complete a season, basically for financial reasons than what I remember seeing years and years ago. And I know that's always happened, but I feel like it's kind of growing. And I think part of the reason that number is growing is mainly because we've got so many more guys doing it now. Not saying that's a bad thing, but if it's a percentage base, if you used to have 200 guys that were full-time fishing and 5% of them had to finance out through the year, where you had 10 guys. Well, now if you've got 500 or 600 guys doing it and 5% of them doing it, you're looking at a much higher number. I think it's maybe what makes it more visible. But I would never discourage anyone from wanting to be a professional fisherman, because it's been a blessing for me. But at the same time, every time I get to talk to these youths and stuff, I try to stress to them that you need to absolutely have not necessarily a plan B, but come up with something that you can mix in.
Mm-hmm. Whose responsibility is that? Is that organization's responsibility? Is that parents' responsibility? Is that current professional anglers who, quote, owe something to the sport to try to, like, whose responsibility is it to try to build the next generation? Or is it on them? And
I think it's everyone's responsibility. I don't think anyone, if you're part of this sport, you should have the passion and the drive to look towards this sport's benefit moving forward. Whether you're a current angler, whether you're an organization, whether you're a parent that's supporting up and coming angler, anything, all the people you just mentioned, I think on some level or another, everyone is responsible, and no one is completely omitted. But at the same time, I don't think you can hang it on one particular one of those lists and say, okay, this is y'all's. Y'all should fix this. It's kind of a group deal.
Do you think there needs to be? You're a bait owner, right? I'm good buddies with Matt Steffen. He runs Core Tackle. The amount of high school kids that just send him an email that says, "Hey, I'm so and so. I fish for this school. Send me free stuff," blows my mind. It's like every single day, like there's no development of a relationship with the brands there. Like, do you see that kind of too, to where there's a younger generation that is more focused on getting stuff, looking good, posting it, fishing the actual tournaments instead of the foundation, whether it be the on the water foundation, the off the water foundation, the building of relationships that will actually benefit them as they go through college and their jobs and the lower levels to get to that, to where they actually have some sustainability?
I think that the number of requests is a lot higher now, but I really think the reason for that is for one, we as business owners, because of the world we live in now with technology, are a lot more approachable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's a lot easier. You know, when I was getting started, I mean, you had to meet a guy like at a show, or I mean, it was difficult just to get an individual's phone number. And now you can sit down at your computer, or not even at your computer, you sit on your phone and just about get a contact for every company in the industry and send them out. But and I've gotten some resumes from some younger anglers that are actually very impressive. It's actually kind of ironed out, like, hey, this is what we would like to do for you, type of deal. Kind of list things, kind of have, you know, like a good little plan in place, and a lot of it has been really eye-opening to see how well they have put it together, and not only that, how well they are actually accomplishing it. But there is a floodgate of that in a certain sense as far as the amount of it. And you take like Core Tackle and me with Black Label. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, dude, we're very small. I can't imagine what your bigger, you know, larger base companies get request wise every week. And it just, but at the same time, I mean, when you push the let's grow button, those things are going to happen. The number one question I get when I go talk to a high school or college event, the for sure the number one non fishing related question I get is, how do I get sponsors? How do I get sponsors? How do I get sponsors? And you know, the sponsors that I have, and I'm very thankful for all of them, but all that are relationships that it took a long time to build. You know, people I met along the way, and that, you know, it was a good working relationship. I was able to benefit them at the same time they benefited me, and it just takes time. And I don't think there is really an overnight instant response for that, and I don't see that happening in anglers, you know. But I do see this. I do think once one of these younger anglers goes there and really proves himself and advances through the rankings and gets some notoriety behind his name and has some success and shows, you know, what he's capable of from a speaking standpoint, and his own personal platform that he's building, there is support there. You just have to create the interest in yourself before you're going to find it.
Very well stated. We're talking with 2013 Bassmaster Classic champ Cliff Pace, talking a lot about time and the passage of time. I was thinking I had some stuff pulled up. I'll run the clip now. It's hard to believe. It is hard to believe that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, I don't even like to talk about it being 12 years ago.
Well, why not?
Because it makes me mad that I haven't done it again in 12 years.
When you think that, I mean, does it seem like it's been 12 years?
No, it does not seem like it's been 12 years. Man, I can't believe that it's been 12 years, you know. I'm one of those guys that started super young. I'm sure all this has been broken, but I won an open event. I was the youngest guy to ever have won an open event when I won my first one. I was the youngest guy to ever win over $1 million fishing with Bassmaster.
You're over 2 million now.
Yeah, plus MLF. But the thing about the deal is you can't slow it down. And that's the thing is, man, I'm just as competitive in my heart as I was when I won the Classic. So when I look back at it, and it's been 12 years, for me, it's kind of like, golly, I still believe that I can do it again. If I didn't, I wouldn't be going to St. Clair next week. If I ever get to the point that I feel like, hey, I can't do this, then I won't do it. But it is hard to believe that it's been 12 years. But at the same time, I feel like I got another solid 12 in front of me.
Here it is right here. I found it. So this is the moment we should have audio.
Bassmaster Elite Series.
Can you hear that?
And where did you sleep?
Yeah.
Back of my truck.
Look how
you
young
hold this
Mercer
baby over
looks.
your head. I don't think you're sleighing in the back of your truck anymore.
Brandon Polinick with 51.8, and now the moment of truth. To the scales, Cliff Pace.
Brandon, come on over here. I want you guys to get side by side. One of you guys is going to win this. He needs 8 pounds, 5 ounces. One short of a limit. 11 pounds, 8 ounces. Cliff Pace has...
There he is, Cliff Pace. He has been in control of this tournament since day number 1. Co-leader after a single day of fishing, extends his lead to 7 pounds after day 2, and somehow manages to find a way to hold on.
Was that worth $1 million, Cliff? Everyone used to say that. I always like to ask it. Now it's that far back. It's 13 years back. Like, was that what, 300,000 at the time?
I was the last guy, I think, to win 500.
Oh, so you got the half mil.
Maybe Randy Howell, the one of the next year, maybe he was the last guy to win 500. But I think it changed around 15 or something like that.
So were you able to add another 500,000 in sponsorships and appearances and bait sales and all that stuff to truly say the Classic was $1 million win for you?
It's really hard to say because, I mean, you work it all. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Classic, winning the Classics is an awesome feather in your hat. And it has helped me. I won't say it hasn't. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it hasn't. But to be able to put a number on what it generates, you know, over a long period of time is really impossible to do. You know, it's really not, I don't think, mathematically possible to look at things, especially with me, with all the stuff I have going on with my businesses, and you know, and working for sponsors and things like that. No one came up to me and said, "Hey, here's your check for $1 million for winning the Bassmasters Classic." I can attest to that. But over a period of the last 13 years, has it helped me? Absolutely. And I'll tell you something cool. When I watch that video, 2 things. It still gives me chill bumps. Okay? And it's something that I want to do again so bad that I can't stand it. It's the reason that I left Major League Fishing was to come back to have a chance to fish on that platform, just because I'll be honest with you, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody here, but, you know, I won a MLF tour event, and it just didn't feel the same. I mean, and I don't blame that on MLF. I just really think it's because
it's history, man. You can't manufacture history.
Yeah, I grew up so focused on the history of Bassmaster. I mean, it gives me chill bumps. One of the coolest things that Bassmaster's doing right now, I think, is the replay on social media of the Bob Cobb tournaments.
Yeah.
Dude, if one of those comes up on my phone, I will watch it over, and I can just listen to it, and it just puts me in a good mood. You know, that was my life. But the second cool thing about that video is that was 13 years ago, and you watch Brandon and I hug on stage, and man, if Brandon called me right now, I would give or do anything I had for him. And I have a lot of respect for him, and I got to hug him this year at Okeechobee whenever he won, and he's had some awesome highlights in his career, and is going to have more, and I hope that I do as well. But the cool thing about everything we're talking about right there is, when you asked me kind of briefly earlier about that I'm back at the elites now, man, that's why I'm back in the elites.
And on the same token, there's 12, 15-year-old junior anglers right now that are growing up watching Dustin Connell, and Wheeler and stuff, and like for them,
the history is being built there,
and they just have to stay around long enough and make the right moves to where their Classic is red crest. But you can't manufacture history. You can't. It has to be there.
They are producing history. And they're doing
it. Just takes a while to do it. I mean, we're 50 years in since they put everyone up in the airplane, and Ray Scott and his cowboy hat got on and said, "We're going to Lake Mead."
Yeah, when I say what I say, make sure make sure everybody
Oh, yeah.
understands this.
Yeah.
When I say what I say about bass, I'm talking about just me.
Yep.
I'm talking about in my heart.
Listen, Cliff, someone just called Cliff right there. That's perfect because we're 36 minutes in, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, more with Cliff Pace. We're actually going to get into the bait side of it, because what he has been doing with Black Label, not only the balsa, but also on the soft plastic side. There you go. You're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had a phone call.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, that's fine. We're going to take a break anyway. Yeah, that's a really good segment. I wanted to show that. I was just doing some research and I pulled that up before the show, and I was like, holy cow, like I vividly remember that, because in Oklahoma, like that final day, like I feel like you put and like I'd kind of known you at the time, but there weren't a lot of people that like knew like how you fished, how your mind worked. I mean, that was a big stage there. Like, I feel you put 90% of anglers on that final day when you grinded out 4 bites on the steep rock with a jig, with all those damn boats that were packed in around you, doing live interviews with Tommy and Zona going, hey, Cliff, you've been leading this thing. Why aren't you catching them today? You got guys, photographers, all that. Like, I don't think there are many professional anglers who are built mentally to be able to put 4 fish in the boat that day. I think 80% of guys in that position who fish at the top level would have started scrambling. And like your build and the way you're built and the way you fish, like, I mean, I've passed you before in the opens, like, especially back in 21 and stuff, when you're you're not afraid to like do a little self-loathing grinding out there. Like, just hate your life and knowing that you're going to get 5 to 7 bites a day and it's all going to make it worthwhile at the end. But I mean, do you feel like, I mean, you were built, your fishing style, your mentality, the way you were built for that final day of the Classic to grind out 4 quality bites?
I was 100% built for that day. That's just, the good Lord made me the way that I am. And that mentality, it can be really helpful on that day. But it also has cost me a lot at other points in my career, where it's not as tough as it seems. And I'm grinding and grinding and grinding, not realizing that, dude, I'm just getting left behind in the dust because I'm not doing the right thing. So it's kind of one of those deals that, for everybody with fishing, the one thing you have to keep in mind about fishing is you have to do you. At the end of the day, when you start trying to not do you, typically things just go bad. And that doesn't matter if it's on a local level or on a professional level. That's the one cool thing about fishing, is the sport's the same no matter what the platform. Mm-hmm. And every time in my life that I get outside of what I do, normally I suffer, I struggle, and I leave that event and I say, man, I made some really bad decisions. Our last event we fished was at 10 Killer, and 100% the exact cause of me having a bad event at 10 Killer was I got a few random bites in practice doing something off the wall, and I thought that, man, this has got the potential to be magic, and I was really stupid to think that. And I was even stupider to commit to it for 2 days thinking I could make it work. But that's fishing. We get a clean slate every time we launch our boat. That's the one cool thing about it. And I'm, looking forward to the next one. St. Clair for me is kind of like what you were saying about Leech. I'm glad we got a few left, because I'm pretty ticked off and would like to have a little bit of redemption. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Are you good? You good to stick around for another segment? Because I literally was planning on getting into like all the growth of your business, and I want to know how you go from like the most like kind of hands-on. Like, I know how passionate you are about the balsa game. I've seen kind of your old shop a while back. I mean, you're one of the savants in it now, and then go, oh yeah, but I'm also cool with like jighead and minnows and all that. And then let's just totally expand into something that like is the exact opposite of what grinding a balsa and stuff is. So, we're talking with Cliff Pace, BTL, on a Wednesday, July 23rd. We'll take a quick break. More After this, we'll be right back.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook. World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Wednesday, talking with Cliff Pace. So, I have no idea. How many years ago was it? You'd fallen out of the tree stand. We were still doing the 20 feet deep. We ended up coming out with some parts of it, but we never came out with the exact full thing. I spent a couple days, I filmed everything, and at the time you had like a little shed out back that had some baits and packages on it, and then you had the outbuilding that you had built. You had like 3 or 4 of the machines in it, and you had hired I think your entire workforce at the time was like your buddies from high school, and you guys were all sitting around working on the baits. And I thought it was the coolest thing, because like they were like your buddies, and that was like their full-time job. You had hired them to make the crankbaits, and that was like, I think you had the natural light color that you had just come out with then, where you were like, hey, look at this can. I'm like, holy cow, it's the exact same color. You're like, yeah, dude, Jim over there came up with that, screwing around at 2 a.m. Like, where from that point, like, where are you now? Like, are you still in the same kind of situation, or are you like expanded?
Oh, we've grew a lot. Actually, I still have one of those guys that stuck with me all this time. He's still here. His name's Eric Mayo. He's been with me pretty much since we got started manufacturing tackle. But we do a lot, and you're pretty close to what, the old days were. Most of what we done back then was lead manufacturing. The balsa baits have kind of always been just kind of my little gig. You're on the wrong website. You need to go to my main website, which is Woodbait Country. So Black Label's website, unfortunately, has kind of got.
Cliff keeps getting phone calls. That's my fault. I should have.
Yeah, go to Woodbait Country and you'll see everything. All our soft plastics, but all of our balsa baits and.
Well, I mean, there's also fishing skirts too.
Yeah, I'm a partner in fishing skirts with all times. We got that going on. Actually, I'm not a partner in fishing skirts with him. Fishing skirts is actually his company outright. But Balsa Outdoors is a company that me and Charles Himes are in a partnership on.
Wait, so you also have another website called Balsa Outdoors?
Boss Outdoors.
Oh, Boss Outdoors. Oh, yeah. Boss has been around forever. That's the skirts, the jig heads, the heads, all that stuff. Yep.
We manufacture all that here. We manufacture pretty much everything here for V&M. All their lead-based products are manufactured here. All their soft plastic products are manufactured here. We manufacture everything Black Label in-house here, everything Boss in-house here, and a good bit of stuff for quite a few other brands that I don't know if they would or wouldn't want me to mention. But
that's big in the industry. There's a ton, like I know, like Big Bite, like it's the same thing. There's like a number of companies that come out of like one thing, and each one has kind of their own formula. They have their own patent, their own proprietary stuff.
We do that here with soft plastics. I've got a half a dozen or so high capacity injection machines that run big blanket molds. I've My main sponsor, my boat wrap, is KDM, which is Kirby Design and Manufacturing, and that's what he specializes in, is manufacturing molds of any type, from high capacity molds like what we run all the way down to a small cavity count mold that a guy can shoot under his carport or in his shop at home. So from a hobbyist standpoint, but we can take pretty much anything and bring it to life if it's made from lead or soft plastics. I don't really do any OEM balsa manufacturing just because they're so time consuming to make, and that's pretty much just me. I still, I paint every single black label bait that we make, and it just takes so much time. I really just don't have the time to do any more of it. What I do is pretty much got me about maxed out on that with everything else that I have going on. But man, I grew up loving fishing and all things related to fishing. And pretty much what I have done here is just make things that I love to fish with and hope other people like them as well. Is that all my different models?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, ain't it?
It's a little bit overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie, Cliff. Like, you should go in and be like, okay, here's all my flat-sided models, here's all my round models, my high floats, I
like to just throw them all together. It makes it more fun.
What's that one that I am obsessed with? It's like the flat one that comes in a foil. You've had it forever.
It's probably a Slim. That was one of the original flat baits that I made. Was a Slim.
This one is that it right there?
Yeah, it's a Slim. And the color you're probably talking about is gizzard shad foil.
Yep, that's it, 100%.
But yeah, I don't know. I've just kind of kept on tinkering. I mean, I've actually got some new baits right now on the chopping block that I'm looking to come out with this year. So I think we're up to somewhere in the 50, 60s, 60 something models of different balsa baits. Yeah, that's the one right there.
Okay, listen, that bait is less than $20, right?
Yeah, $17.99.
Yeah,
and that's handmade, 100% balsa, made right here, built and painted and finished by me. Tuned by either me or my wife. It's tuned in the package, so it's going to run perfectly straight. Now,
I will say this though:
for the money, there's not really anything out there that, from a hand built standpoint, there's not many other brands out there that are as readily available as Black Label, or at the price point as Black Label.
I'll say this: no affiliation. You don't pay me a cent. I don't want to get paid a cent. I buy these things at full price. If you throw any sort of crankbait whatsoever, a log, riprap, shallow, have threadfin, shad, anything, this crankbait right here, spend $100 and get 6 of them.
Yep, and you get free shipping.
Now, they will all run. This is just me, Cliff, and don't get upset at me at this. They will all run great. Every single one of them out of the package will run great. But out of those 6, you will find that there will be like 2 that for some reason are like magic.
That's a balsa bait. That's what got me so intrigued with a balsa bait. When I grew up, as a kid, fishing with Bagley's and Sisson's baits, they were the same way.
Oh, I totally forgot I had this. You thought I was kidding. Keep going.
You would have that one bait out of a, yeah, there you go, right there. You'd have that one. God, look at the teeth marks on that one. You'd have that one bait out of a group of baits that were just, for whatever reason, it's just magical. And that's always been the case with wooden baits, with balsa baits. Even some of the Poes were like that. You when you build them out of wood, for whatever reason, it just generates those special ones. And I brought those special ones back here and tore them apart and weighed them and did density tests on them and analyzed them and did everything you could do to try to figure out how to recreate that. And you just can't.
I mean, dude, this thing, like this one, it still technically works. I'm just so scared to throw it.
Yeah, that one probably is seen its final days. It's a hanging on the wall bait. But I've got a bunch of those. Don't feel bad. Those are the ones I like to collect.
Yeah, I've got it. But this is just my opinion. This exact one right here in that color, I change it out and put the either the A-Mart hooks on it, or the bronze number 4 round bends, which basically makes it almost suspend, so you can be like, and then it'll just like kind of stop. Then you like go start to move it again, and it's just like wet rag. I've caught more fish on that plug than any other plug in my, like, I've caught more fish on this, I would say, than like a 1.5.
Yeah, I've caught a bunch of fish on that Slim. That Slim was my original flat bait that I made, and it's still one of my favorites. And that and the Hickster are the 2 flat baits that I make that, well, I shouldn't say that. I make another one called a Little Cliffy. Again, I have 60 something, so it's kind of hard to, it's, for me, it's like picking from your children, you know, like which one's your favorite? And I'm like, oh, come on, man, I can't get there. But they all have different situations, but I'll say this, I never go fishing pretty much year round without the assortment of that bait, that Slim, in my boat.
All right, so you've got 60 some crankbaits, and then you decide, let's go conquer the soft plastics world. Like, how did the soft plastics division come out of it? Because I feel like it would have been super easy just to be like, I'm a balsa guy. Like, it's Black Label balsa, but I think one of the cool things,
Black Label tackle. I
know, but it started as Black Label balsa.
Actually, I always kind of built my LLC is actually Black Label tackle.
Okay.
So the balsa deal got started out of necessity. You know, that's kind of what happened there. There was an era of time. I've said this a lot of times. I think I said this the other night when I was talking to Lee and Kevin on the podcast we did together, that if Takahira hadn't won the Classic on a Bagley B2, and he didn't really win the Classic on it, he just pulled it out on the 3rd day and caught like 2 big ones on it.
It's because he knew it.
Yeah, he knew it. That's exactly right. And that's still some epic footage to watch. But if he hadn't have done that, I think that there's a good chance that balsa's baits would have kind of, I mean, at that point in time, they were almost impossible to get. You know, Lee had kind of quit making them. Bagley's had sold and exchanged hands, and that wasn't going so well. And the baits they were making were not the same at that point in time. The quality wasn't the same. And that was also before that there was all this Facebook and social media where you could just send a guy in Tennessee that made them in his garage a message and buy them from him. They were really hard to find. They were really, really difficult to get. And, you know, we about the only ones that we could get around here at that point in time were the ones that Ed Chambers were making. And even they were hard to get because Ed just made those baits kind of when it suited him. You know, he might go out there this month and make a batch, and he might not. So when you got the chance to get them, you know, you bought them. But I started making balsa baits out of the desire to fish with them. And honestly, that's pretty much what has driven me to make everything that we've made here. Soft plastics was the same thing. When I got into doing, you know, wanting to do soft plastics for Black Label, I just really wanted to make, there were some certain baits that I wanted to kind of tweak and make a certain way just for my own personal use, and ended up making them, and people started seeing them and wanting to buy them. So before you knew it, I was getting Black Label soft plastic bags printed, and then I found some bigger equipment that I wanted to buy, and one thing leads to another, and then you're in the soft plastic business. So that's just kind of the story of me. That's kind of the story of Black Label. But I always have a huge passion for balsa baits, really and truly crankbaits in general, or just hard baits in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obsessed with hard baits. I'm a jerk bait, crankbait, just junkie on all levels. But I kind of feel like that. I am that with all things fishing, and that's my problem. Is that I really and truly, like, I started my lead business because I wanted to make, or be able to make, whatever I wanted in the form of a jig, spinnerbait, buzzbait. In other words, my lead business got started exactly like my soft plastic baits got started, exactly like my balsa baits got started. Essentially, I started making stuff for me, and it just grew. and turned into a business. And that's really the story behind everything that we do here.
That's cool. And I mean, you can't hide that passion. That's a passion that makes what makes it work. You're not just doing it just because you have to. You're doing it because you want to. You see a need to it, and you take pride in it.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find this out here. I know that there was another big Bagley's win, and then also a little bit of a WC win. If you remember, in 2012, Kevin Short won on Pickwick.
Yeah, remember who finished second there?
Would that be you?
Pull it up.
But remember, in 2012, they did the All-Star event in Decatur, Illinois, and Aaron Martins went to Lake Decatur, which I grew up in Decatur, Illinois, fished Lake Decatur in the Wednesday nighters. Like, you don't catch fish out of Lake Decatur, especially back in 2012. And he threw that big Bagley's and Ed Chambers and smoked everybody. Like, Edwin got stuck going up into the Sangamon River.
You
and
know
stuff
what?
like that.
Forgot about that deal.
That was like one of the most dominant big, and he did it on a crappy, sludgy lake, fishing it ultra shallow on a little bit of riprap, kind of in between the moss and the sludge.
I had forgotten about Aaron's.
He dominated that thing.
Yeah, he did. Like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, I think was Ott in that, or who was in that? Yeah, Ott was in that. Ott hooked like a lake record under a dock in that tournament. Like, the lake record was like 6 pounds, and Ott like jumped off, like skipped a jig under one of the few docks on the lake and jumped off like an 8.5 pounder in that tournament. I'll never forget it. It was legitimately like the biggest bass in Lake Decatur that he lost. But yeah, I mean, that's another.
There's always been some, some various different events that have played with the balsa baits, and there's always going to be. We live in an era now where everything is so focused on the electronics game and the techniques that surround the electronics game. But I mean, it's coming. It's just fishing. It can't help but happen. It's just a matter of time before you have a major event that something got overlooked somewhere way up in the back of this creek, and a guy goes up there and wins. I mean, that's just part of our sport. That's always going to be part of our sport. And it's one of the things that I love about our sport is even with all the technology that we have in our sport, there's still going to be those instances where just old school fishing dominates. Yeah.
All right. So one of the other reasons I wanted to get you on is I admire the fact that instead of, you hear a lot of, I don't want to get into that, whatever. What I'm just saying is there's a lot of people that say, oh, our sales suck because of live scope and everything's just a jig and like Black Label Tackle. Perfect example of being like, oh, dude, we do like flipping baits, jig heads, and balsa. Like, we're screwed now. But then you start looking around and you see like stuff like this come out. Yeah. And you see the Primal Jig Head, and you see a number of different jig head minnow stuff on that. And I would just be curious on your take when you said, all right, we're going to dive into this. We're going to do the primal heads. We're going to do a number of different plastics. We're going to get dialed in on the jig head minnow game in addition to everything else we do.
Again, man, I made all that stuff because I needed it, because I wanted it, and because it was good for my business. It was good for my brand. I don't really, I have kind of a different opinion on a lot of things when it comes to our industry and the sales of our industry and what the real reality of that might be. Far Fetched Sonar has kind of taken the black eye for sales being down in our industry, but I think it's more than that. I do. I think we lived through an era of time with the COVID was kind of the gold rush for the tackle industry, and people, companies, we all we all had been waiting for that for a long time, because the tackle industry's always been, the tackle industry is a lot like fishing tournaments. It can be a roller coaster for most people. There are those guys that, and companies that seem to keep it mainstream, but for the majority of companies, just like the majority of anglers, it's kind of a roller coaster of a deal. You get something that's really hot for a while, you capitalize on that, and then you go into a valley when you're trying to come out with the next thing. The main reason that I got into the soft plastics and stuff was really not because I felt like, the balsa bait era was dying. I don't feel like that at all. A matter of fact, when we get done with this today, that's what I'm going to do today, is paint balsa baits. But the the fact is, for me, I just wanted to offer more, to be able to diversify, for lack of better words, and I also wanted to be able to build, some of these baits that I thought were going to be really great baits, like that video you see of mine. That's my high roller that you were showing roll a while ago. That's not with some tricked out jig head or anything complicated. I designed that bait to do that very effortlessly, and it's an incredible bait, and it's been good for my brand. It has, but it's still not like, I have a lot of customers that could care less about a high roller, and I have a lot of customers that could care less about a balsa bait. You're seeing that more and more in our industry for everybody. And if you back up a little bit to when everything was good, when we went through that COVID era, that 2 or 3 year era there of COVID, most companies, most business owners, and that's where my plastics came from, had really good years during those years. Our sales were really good. We made more money than what we had been making in years previous. So what did we do with that money? We reinvested it back into our business. So we grew. And you see that with a lot of companies now where, dude, I can remember when Strike King sold a jig, a spinnerbait, and a buzzbait. That was Strike King Lure Company. That was it. That was the whole deal. And and kudos to them. Their catalog now looks like an encyclopedia, because they've grown and they've reinvested and they've made the effort to grow their brand and reinvest in their brand and continue to design new products and try to be innovative. And I just think that that's what you have to do in this industry. This industry forces that of you. But if you go and look at all the new products and everything that just came out this last week at ICAST, our industry it never ever stops. And now with social media and all the way it is, it's so challenging to have those core products that just generate residual sales. You follow what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
Where Strike King, say 20 years ago, when all they had was the products we're talking about, they could kind of forecast the next year and say, look, I know we're going to sell X number of units of black and blue 3/8 ounce flipping jigs. We got Danny Breyer's name on it. It's just going to work. That has kind of changed. It really has. And in our industry, that type of mindset has really kind of changed. Because so many people now are being more innovative. There's so much more technology out there to be innovative with, and it's so much easier to get out there and spread the word about your innovative product than what it's ever been. You're friends with Core Tackle. They've done a great job.
Yeah.
Done a great job. And I know exactly how they're doing it. I've done it. They've done lead casting for 20 something years. I totally understand it, fully respect it. I think they're doing a great job. And there's a lot of companies out there that are doing that. And we're just trying to do the same thing with Black Label. But I'm not that guy that's going to just say, hey, this is all I want to make. And the reason why, honestly, the main reason why I have all the soft plastic stuff, you want to know the number one reason why?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to play with it. Like, that's it. That's the main reason. I built a whole other building and bought all this equipment and was like, okay, all right, now I can go out there and I can make me any worm that I want, or anything.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, your worm. I was just telling you before we went live. I was at Lucky Lure Tackle, and they had all the worms there, and you've got a like a morning dawn for kind of color, that pink color.
Sure.
And what scent do you have in that? I've never smelled that before, but it smells very inviting.
It's a candy.
That's what I'm saying. It smells. The last time I smelled something like that was an old jelly worm.
That's what it really reminds me of, and that's really why I use it, because I don't know for sure. I think at times definitely scents can work. I'm not going to say they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it makes all the difference in the world. Sometimes it makes no difference in the world. But I think you need something that really kind of masks human scent. And I got to playing with all these different scents when I started making my own soft plastics. You know, I mean, I've been making some of my own hand pour stuff for 10 or 15 years, right? So I kind of had a little bit of a baseline of knowledge before I just dove into buying the equipment that I bought and setting up my shop the way that I did, and trying to, in other words, I didn't just start from scratch with that. But the main reason that we use the scent that we use, to be completely honest with you, is it is inviting, and I don't want to work in a building that smells like an onion factory every day, or a garlic factory, or worse. So I think it's a really good baseline scent. But you know, if you look, a lot of people get hung up on this scent deal, and a lot of guys are going to listen to this and go, "Oh man, Cliff's crazy. You know, I use this XYZ crawfish oil, and it's the most amazing." And I'm not saying that it's not, but you can still apply that to my baits. If you have a scent that you love, what's in my bag is compatible with any of that, you can apply your own scent to it. I even do it sometimes. Matter of fact, I just got me some bottles of this new bite powder, the Japanese super powder.
The nori stuff.
Oh yeah, I couldn't wait to try it. And apparently I'm just using it wrong or something, because I had a terrible experience with it, but it's my fault. And I'm not going to bash anybody's product, because the product's great. It smells really good. I've just got to figure out a better way to apply it to my baits. But I put other scents on my baits, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make, if I want. But I like them bagged that way just because it's, it keeps me from working every day in something that just is horrendous to smell.
That's fair. Like, I'm a big, I still use bait fuel. So like they have a stick. Bait fuel has a stick now that's not like the goop.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of the stick. Like I said, I'm 50-50 on it. There are times where I'm like, oh, that fish that followed it 1000% bit it because of the scent.
Yeah,
like, would not have caught it. And then there's other times where I'm like, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't hurt. But then like, I'm the same way with the Nori's bite powder. I just put it in the bag with it, leave it for a couple days, shake it up, and then you just can't apply it if your fingers are wet, because you end up with like this shrimp paste.
That's the problem I had.
You need a towel so like the bait stays dry in the pack. You like shake it up in it. Like I'll put, like, I know you can put that like nori's juice in there, but you can even put like a little bit of the bait fuel goop and like really mix it up. I mean, fish are screwed when you do this. So you like get like a little coating, then you put like the bait powder on it, like cakes on there. You're like, this is going to fall off on the very first time. Dry hands, gotta have dry hands. Put that sucker on, and then don't touch your bait for like 2 or 3 casts, and it makes like that weird, it's like a weird like off-white hard gel coating thing on it. Right. I'm still learning with it. Like I said, I wanted to learn with it because I got the open on leech coming up, and I'm convinced that there's not many fish there. That could make a difference. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Scent will make a difference at leech. No doubt. No
yeah,
doubt.
Same here. That's the same way he said he applies the bait fuel before the bite powder, mixing brands up on that.
That's kind of what I did, but the problem I had with it was this, and maybe you can answer this since we're on this subject. I know this is crazy rabbit trail we weren't playing.
No, that's perfect.
So the problem I have with it is I put it in my bag, right?
Yeah.
And my baits are dry.
Yeah.
But I'm fishing with like a purple worm. And this was last night. We fished a Tuesday night.
Oh, yeah, it changes the color completely.
So... yeah, so I doctor me some up before we leave.
It's always gray.
I brought my boat to the shop yesterday because I was going to go fish a Tuesday nighter last night, So I go out there and I get me a couple bags of worms out of my inventory room because I was running low, and I threw them on my boat, and I was like, oh, I forgot, I got that powder. I was like, well, you got to play with it. So I open it up, sprinkle a little in there, rub them around. Well, I get to the lake, I don't have any purple worms.
Yeah, they're all gray.
So I'm out there yesterday afternoon, literally scrubbing it off because I'm convinced, because I'm watching them on my screen, and they'll follow it and they won't bite it. And I'm like, well, they won't bite it because it looks like a dog bone.
Fair. No, I'm with you 100%.
So I'm out there literally trying to scrub it off. And I tell you what, I will say this. That stuff sticks. Once it gets wet,
yeah,
it's on there. But I also think that maybe there's a different idea. I was even thinking about this last night because of that. And this is where all these crazy baits come from that I make. We need to make a worm that has a slit in it where you could open it, fold it open, put the powder in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of closed back up so the powder's in the bait.
Dude, Cliff, it's max scent. That's why max scent works so good. The more it gets tore up, the more it opens up. That's why this is just me. I don't know for a fact. I mean, you're better on plastics, but isn't that the more like you kind of open up the pores and stuff on that max scent, you catch 2 or 3 on a flatworm, smallmouth,
out.
And
mm-hmm.
and it works. Like that's where, I mean, that's, I think the beauty of the Berkley max scent is it never can fade because it gets stronger the more the little teeth penetrate it.
Right. Yeah, it definitely.
Have you tried putting that Nori's bite powder inside like a worm and seeing what it does to it?
I haven't tried to inject it with it mixed in yet. No.
Would that work?
Yeah, you could do that.
I'd be curious. I'd be curious on that because I do know. So, like, off the record, I do know there are some potentially, hypothetically, professional guys that are big in the soft plastics world, and they have a special pour made for them that may or may not have a crap ton of scent in the baits that commercially are unscented.
Are not available. Right.
Yes.
So the way plastisol works is you can either let the bait absorb the scent after the bait's made,
mm-hmm.
which any plastisol will. It doesn't have to be max scent. I'm not saying max scent doesn't have a higher absorption rate. I'm not trying to say that. I don't really know. I'm not a max scent guy. I mean, I've used flatworms and stuff up north, and there's no denying that they obviously work. We've seen the results of all the tournament trails for the last 5 years, right? So, but as far as like the 2 ways you can accomplish it is you can actually take a scent and mix it into a liquid, like a worm oil type liquid, and apply it, and it will actually, the bait itself will actually absorb it. Or you can actually put it in the liquid material before it's injected. But if you put it in the liquid material before you inject it, you do have to use a tremendous amount more. I think that the heat process of curing the plastic, you have to get it up to like 365 for it to cure correctly. I think that heat aspect of it maybe burns some of that scent out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried it a bunch of different ways, and I've used a bunch of different things, and there's a lot of things that work really good. There's a lot of things that don't work so well, but I have found that just absorbing it seems to work the best versus trying to put it into the bait before you inject it.
I've become slightly obsessed with the jig minnow game over the last 2.5 years. Can I ask you a couple questions about the Black Label stuff?
Yeah.
All right. So I saw the Black Label minnow. It was at Lucky Lure, bought me a couple packs. This was probably 2-3 months ago. I was surprised because the number one minnow in the game is going to be a Sakamata shad. That's kind of the what I would say is the gold standard of minnow baits across the board.
Sure.
I always thought that like what made that bait roll was not only the wings, but also the softness of that plastic, almost a Yamamoto effect to where like,
no, sir.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I get to the high roller and I take one out of the pack and I go to put it on my jig head. And I'm like, this is a very firm, hard, not hard. I don't know how to describe. it's not a soft plastic is what I'm saying. It is by far the firmest minnow. And I went to Japan and bought 26 different types of minnows last October. That is by far the firmest plastic, but still maintains a really solid roll.
It does.
Is that it's more in the shape than it is in the softness?
Well, yeah, the softness of a bait does not contribute to its ability to roll. What makes the high roller roll is the design. If you look at the high roller, the top of the bait is actually concaved. That's the way it's actually designed. So it's causing water to push. When you shake it, it's causing the water to push off of one side first, which creates a seesaw effect. So once it pushes off of one side, it has to, when you twitch it, it has to come back, right? And that's what generates the rolling action that the high roller has. The high roller is actually a pretty soft bait. It's not soft compared to like a Sakamoto, but just it's not really much firmer than like a like a Yamamoto type blend soft plastic.
Okay.
It's not, it's actually still poured from a very soft plastic. It's not like it's a saltwater durometer or anything like that. But if you look at that picture right there, you can kind of see
right there's the concave at the top.
Yeah, it's concaved in the top, and that's what causes the high roller to roll as easily as it does. And I honestly think that the high roller will outroll the Sakamoto. The small high roller will for sure outroll the small Sakamoto. The 4-inch Sakamoto compared to the 3.8 high roller, as far as the ability of the bait to roll, there's no comparison.
I was also aware that Primal Tackle was something that you pour, correct?
Yeah, Primal Tackle is a brand we started about a year ago. We manufacture it here, and it's pretty much just a brand we built to put all of our basically jig heads that were kind of built around the live scope usage. Not saying that's all they're used for, but that's our high roller head.
Yeah. So the lead down the shank of it. Walk me through that. Like there's some
the lead down the shank versus the wire keeper does two things. So for one, when you put the lead down the shank of the hook, it helps the bait stay balanced. The bait doesn't want to nose out as bad, right?
Okay.
Because all the weight's not on the very tip of it. The other thing is it lets your bait hold up a tremendous amount better. The keeper on the high roller head is going to hold your bait so much better than what a traditional wire keeper will. Even with like a Sakamoto shad, you probably can catch 3 times as many fish on it as you can rigging it on a jig head with a wire keeper. The lead going down the shank of the hook also makes the shank of the hook, it eliminates flex in the hook because so much of the shank is covered in lead, so it can't bend. So it takes a wire hook and makes it substantially stronger. So you have that's a premium 604 hook in that high roller head, but by in covering the majority of the shank in lead, which we mainly did to create the balance aspect, it also creates the same hook, but in a much stronger aspect, just because it can't flex because the lead's covering the shank.
That's good stuff. Which leads me to the newest creation, which is this thing. I don't even know where to start with that, Cliff.
So that's the new show off. So many people that I talk to that are getting into live scope are like, man, I'm having a hard time seeing my bait. I can see fish. Sometimes I can see my bait. Sometimes I can't. Do you make anything that makes it easier to see my bait? And everybody has kind of took the approach of the coatings, the sonic coats, and the things like that. Mm-hmm. So I decided I was going to make a jig head that I felt like gave you the maximum return on sonar. So the way sonar works is, it shoots a ping out. That ping impacts something and bounces back. So the harder the object is, the better the crisper the return. That's why tungsten shows up better on live scope than what lead does. It's just because it's a denser material, so it bounces back a stronger return. So what the show off, what we did is take, and they're made from tungsten, and we put that ring that you saw on the head. Basically, it's just like a teardrop ring that goes around the bottom side of the head. So essentially what you have now is maybe you have like because a lot of times with live scope, we're using real lightweight heads, right?
Mhm.
And that's when it gets hard to see. So now you have a jig head that is, say, a 1/8 ounce, but it has the surface area, the face surface of, say, a quarter or a 5/16. So it's giving you a much bigger area for your sonar to hit, which is going to make it show up so much better on your screen.
Does it still fall straight, or does it have a tendency to drift with that collar?
It doesn't really drift like I thought it would. When we first started developing it, I built the first ones out of lead just to see how it would react before we invested a lot of time and energy into making it in tungsten. And I was really surprised. The one thing I will say I love about the show off that's kind of an added thrown in bonus is the whole reason we're using a light jig head is to slow the bait down. When we're throwing it to fish and twitching it over them, and and they're finicky, and we're having to go to a 16th or something like that jig head, or a 1/8 in an effort to slow the bait down, right, to get them to eat it. The face of that show off helps slow the bait down a lot. So because it is creating resistance as it's coming forward. And the other thing is because of that little lip.
Yeah.
When you twitch it, as you're twitching it, it makes the tail kind of have lift, right? So as you're twitching, say if this is your minnow and this is the jig head, as you're twitching this, it's pushing the tail up because of the face of it hitting water. So it makes your presentation to where you can slow it down a lot. So in other words, I can get the same speed out of a 3/16 show off that I would normally get out of an 1/8 round head. But the sink rate's faster with a 3/16. So when I'm chasing those fish right out there in open water and they're swimming, they're moving, now I can use a jig head that I can get to them faster. But then the presentation is the same.
Yeah. That's so. I'm gonna give us got some trade secrets here. What a lot of the kiddos are doing these days, Cliff, is they're taking the 602 or the 604 or whatever hook they want in a 4 or 5/0 on these bigger minnows, and they're buying the bulk tungsten that's resined in, and then they're blow torching it out.
That's right.
And then they're epoxying it back into the head of the bait that they want because it doesn't really exist. Like if you want to go to China and buy 1 billion jig heads, you get kind of the hook that you get into it. You can't put a custom hook into it.
Correct.
Like, are you doing that individually with these, or did you figure out how to get a BKK hook into the head that you wanted? Like, I'm just trying to piece together how all this works.
I'm having it built with the BKK hook that I want in it.
Okay, so you're not sitting there blow torching out, just getting the tungsten heads and then epoxying it all in one by one.
No.
Okay, that's how like, I mean, if you look at a lot of the hooks, like the fact of the matter is 80% of the guys under 25, one of the guys is good with a blowtorch, and they'll have a blowtorch party where they drink White Claws or whatever 25-year-olds do, and wear their flat billed scrunchy top hats like I've got on now, and they build 75 jig heads and talk about how much money they've made.
Yeah, I've done all that too, as far as removing hooks and putting a new hook in to make whatever you need to be able to have a bigger hook or whatever, kind of be able to customize it, right? But I'm not actually having to do that to these. We're actually building them straight from the hook that we want. So, I mean, the show off is a project that we had to have a custom mold produced for to make the tungsten head. The cool thing, I didn't even say this a while ago, but the small sizes, like the 16th, I was actually able to even make it hollow. So it's still tungsten, but it's bigger.
I didn't even know that was possible.
So it's hollow, resin filled with the hook installed.
It's like a blow pop with the Tootsie Roll or the gum in the center. And then
and it really does give you a lot better return. It really does make for a lot better return on your on your screen.
Well, dude, I mean, it sounds like you still have your passion is still a 10 out of 10 for this stuff.
Man, my passion is just fishing. I mean, I love balsa baits. Okay. I love flipping a jig. I love throwing a buzz bait. I love catching them. I don't care. Everybody asks me all the time, like, man, what's your favorite bait? My favorite bait is whichever one they will freaking bite. Period.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, my favorite bait was a purple worm, and I had to scrub it with a Brillo pad to make it purple again because it had to be purple. You know, I'm still that same guy.
Well, ask him at Dory's about that, like how
I'm still that same guy, right? That just loves to fish. I think that's the thing that makes our sport so awesome is that's the majority of what's in our sport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what's kept you in the sport for 21 years, Matt.
Yeah, I love it. I still love it.
Absolutely.
Like I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. Like I've learned stuff. I have a deeper appreciation, understanding for it. Like that's something that like, I mean, we don't like chat on the phone regularly at all, but like if we did, like, I feel like today's conversation, I would have asked the exact same things on an 1.5 hour long phone call that we did on BTL.
Absolutely. And you know, passion drives innovation, and that's why our sport's where it is. It's amazing to me every year the new products that I keep seeing, and it's kind of like we're reaching a point where it's like, well, actually, we're not reaching a point. We've been at this point for like 5 years where it's like, man, what's next? Like, what is left?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like the show off. I mean, that's an idea I came up with 2 years ago, and it took us that long just to bring it to light. And I'll be completely honest, I'm surprised someone didn't beat me to the punch because it is just such a simplistic idea, but it's very functional and it works really well. And I'm sure there'll be lots of different variations of it come out eventually. But, you know, it's been an amazing ride for me, and I'm looking forward to as many years in it as I can possibly have. And I've met so many great people over the years doing this, fishing, through sponsors, through business, through all of it. That it's been an amazing ride, and it's been, you know, one that like I say, I'm kind of looking forward to what's next for us. But I just would, you know, people ask me all the time about all the different things that I make, and my answer is always the same, man. I just make stuff that I think will work. And really and truly, if you talk to most bait manufacturers, their answer, if they're honest, is the same. I mean, you're either making stuff that you think's cool, or you're at this point in time, or you're copying somebody.
Yeah, well, look at Ed Chambers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's a perfect example of it. I mean, look at the soft plastic and the hard bait. I mean, the dude like is iconic.
Exactly.
He's Michael Jordan of the bait industry. Pumpkin. Yeah.
Most people don't know that about him.
Yeah. It wasn't like a screw up with like dirty molds and stuff, and all of a sudden it came out and they were
they were changing colors. They were going from running like a brown to a watermelon. So when you change colors on one of these injection machines, you get some bleed, right? So if you were like going from watermelon to brown, you already had watermelon running, and then you hook up, say, a container of brown, and you keep shooting it, you're going to get like a blend. Like, you know, it's going to take 5 or 7 cycles to get to that true brown. And one of those blends, those guys that were there, they were like, oh my gosh, look at this color. And they took it and fished with it. Obviously, it worked great. And they brought it back to Ed, and Ed was like, well, I can figure out a way to formulate that. So he made a color match to it, and that's green pumpkin.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
We've actually got a couple of colors that we came out with from that very same concept, where we're changing colors, and it makes a color that's like, holy smokes, I can't believe what this looks like.
Well, I mean, that natural light color is literally off of a natural light can, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Yeah, the guy
I don't know if you want to like advertise that, but I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Because like I said, your buddy was sitting there and literally there was a natural light can in the trash. And you're like, well, you know, that's what they drink while they're working on baits and, you know, rigging them up. You pulled it up and you're like, yeah, we were just screwing around one night and it came out. And it's like such a cool color.
Yeah, that is how that one came from. That's absolutely where it came from. I painted that one kind of as a tribute to my buddy, to be honest.
Big natural light guy.
He was a natural light guy.
Which means if you're a natural light guy, you must be a character.
Hey, it takes all kinds.
So there were a bunch of questions on here about you and Square Bills. I had no desire to get into it. There it is right here. It was 3 months ago. Cliff Pace, Kevin Short, Lee Sisson. It's 3 hours and 8 minutes on Bass After Dark. Well worth watching that. There's not anything in that show that you could ask in this show that isn't answered in that show. Ken Duke, Brian the Carpenter, good friends, did a great job on that show. So that's why I kind of like avoided any of the. It's so like you're almost to the point where it's like having Dean Rojas on the show, right? Like you can't have Dean Rojas on without, and I totally valid, but like it's all frog questions.
Sure.
Regardless of what it is, just like it's square bow questions for you. But I mean,
sure.
My goal was to kind of get a little bit more in depth behind the scenes, get a bigger picture of what the last 15 years has been like for you. And I'm thoroughly impressed, Cliff.
I don't know how we could film it, but we need to try to do one where I can wear like or walk it through and film it. And we'll kind of I'll show you how it all gets done. We'll have to set something up. Maybe after St. Clair, we'll get home from we got to go from St. Clair to the upper Mississippi. Maybe in that September time frame, we could do one, and I get Tiffany to come help me, and we could kind of walk you through the shop and kind of show your viewers
that would be fantastic.
How it really does get done, because it is a pretty cool process. It's pretty neat, and it's really, really cool to me to be able to just do what I do every day. I said in the beginning of this, I feel very blessed, and I am absolutely very blessed.
Yeah, I'm looking at my schedule too in September for the first time in probably 15 years. I don't have anything on my calendar in September. I'm supposed to do like a bachelor party, but I can't figure out what to do for a bachelor party because I basically do 15 bachelor parties a year with fishing trips, and all I'd want to do is have a couple buddies, drink some beer, grill some steaks, and catch fish.
Right.
So, I mean, like a bachelor party for me is like staying at home and weed eating, mowing the yard, cross cutting it. Like I'm a big yard mower. You don't know anywhere you can go. Oh, I'll ask this before I let you go, Cliff. So here's my idea of it. I want to go somewhere reasonable, reachable, which is like 6-7 of my buddies, and I want to smoke jumbo perch, and I want to scale them, fillet them, and bring them home. I need like a great place to catch a lot of 11 to 13 inch jumbo perch in September. Are you a big perch guy? I'm a huge perch guy. Every time I go up north, I love catching yellow perch. It's my favorite fish in the world.
I think the Finger Lakes probably have some of the best big yellow perch fishing of anywhere.
That's just a long way from
I know Oklahoma. It is, but I don't think you're. I mean, any of the Great Lakes.
Yeah. What's your favorite non-bass species? Like if you had a day to go out, bass was not on the list. Like just a fun fishing day. What else are you going after?
Man, I do a good bit of that in the off season. I like the inshore fish for inshore speckled trout and redfish. They're a lot of fun. But I also really enjoy fishing for crappie.
Yeah.
We do some of that here in the wintertime too. That's really about all we have around here. We don't have like sauger, walleye, jumbo perch, things like that. But we do have all the saltwater stuff. I don't really care much about running like way offshore and going out there and trying to troll and catch kings and all that. But sight fishing, redfish, tremendous amount of fun. Speckled
you
trout.
Caught them on your baits? Have you caught like a redfish on one of your balsa baits before?
Oh yeah, like millions of them.
Yeah, they smoke a plug.
Yes.
I don't know how they get a round mouth like 19. Like how do they get like that mouth?
I don't know, but they'll get it where it's like you can't even see it.
Yeah. Are you how far are you from Granada and Sardis?
About 3.5 hours.
Is that where you crappie fish? I mean, that's kind of like the Mecca.
No, I've actually never fished any of those lakes. Not a single day of my life. But all the state lakes right here around me, they have a decent population of them in it. So if I want to do that, I can just drive 20 or 30 minutes somewhere to go do that.
Phenomenal. Anything else you want to get in here before I let you go? I know you got a busy day of painting baits. I still think it's cool that like a guy can buy a black label balsa and there's a good chance that at some point during the process you had your hands on that bait.
No, there's not a good chance. There's a 100% chance that I painted it. There's no one else that paints or assembles them but me.
Oh, so like this one right here, like this was painted by you.
Yeah, a long time ago. Every black label bait that's ever been put out was painted by me.
I had 3 people that asked what that was again. What is that exactly, and what color is it?
That is a black label gizzard shad foil slim.
On a scale of 1 to 10, if you're new to balsa baits or you want one, like, this is a 10. That's me saying it. Not the guy who makes it and is trying to sell them. That's me saying it, who pays $20 a piece for them. Baddest ass available balsa bait. And like when you're just trying to find them and stuff, like I said, they all run good. You don't throw the magic ones in practice, and then when you lose one, you still catch fish on it, and it doesn't ruin your day because you didn't lose just like $150 WEC that there's like 7 of in existence now.
And I try really hard to keep them in stock where they're available for guys. If you get them on Woodbait Country website, man, there's a lot.
Oh, that was the last thing. We've been on like 15 different websites. I'm super confused. Best place to get these, order these?
Anything black label. My personal website that me and my wife Tiffany run is woodbaitcountry.com.
Okay.
And it has all of my soft plastics, as well as it has the primal stuff we were talking about. The show off's not on there yet. I'm still waiting on. The show off is on my Fishing Skirts website. I'm still trying to get it. We got to get it put up and get pictures and all taken of it to get it on the Woodbait Country website. But all my balsa baits, all my black label soft plastics, the high rollers, all the soft plastics.
That's what it looks like when you go there.
Everything is right there on Woodbait Country.
Cliff, greatly appreciate it.
Hey man, it's been fun.
I'm looking for at least one run at a W in the final 2 events of the season from you.
I'm looking for 2.
There you go, back to back. I like it. Are any of the last 2 get you in the Classic?
I don't think so, man. I hadn't done the math, but I think I'm too far gone.
Well, they don't have one of those like win and you're in the last 2. The last one isn't a win and you're in deal. Remember how Bassmaster kind of does that randomly? Like they have like 1 or 2 events a year where it's like win and you're in.
I don't know if they're doing that this year or not. I need to look at that. Not that it matters. I'm going to put this the same way.
There is no BTL discount code. Like not sponsored whatsoever. Like I just dig what Cliff is doing. I have no affiliation whatsoever with any of this. And literally, like, there's no reason not to pay full price because he doesn't. It's not outrageous. It's like normal price stuff. It's actually underpriced. Like you could probably up your balsas by 10 and not even sniff.
We've thought about going to $19.99 next year just because the materials that we're building them from is just continuing to go up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And up.
Yeah. All right, dude. Have a good day painting. What color are you painting today?
Man, I got like a whole. Let me see. I might can take you.
Okay, we'll see. And if we lose you, I appreciate it, and then you can get back to painting if for some reason something goes down.
I shouldn't lose you. I got Wi-Fi here.
All right, we're walking through.
So this is my paint room. Let's see. Trying to figure this out.
I don't know how to reverse the camera to see forward like it's all there.
I've got them behind me. There we go. Now this is what I got to paint today. I got that shelf to paint today. And there's just a few little stragglers left on this shelf from the other day. Let's see. Well, I shouldn't be a filmer. I should definitely stick to making baits.
You do.
But yeah, this is where I paint them all right here.
Are you a music? Like, do you listen to music? Do you watch TV? Or are you
No, I just paint.
You paint in silence.
Well, when you turn this on, it's really loud. It's a ventilator.
So like no earbuds. Like you're not
you
like
hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean I'd have to do earbuds or something if I was gonna do.
You don't have like George Strait on in the background just playing greatest country hits from the 90s.
I have at times, yeah. But it's gotta be it's gotta be kind of like quiet time in the evenings for me to do all that.
I hear you. All right, Cliff, get back to it. Appreciate it,
all right,
man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, see ya. There it is. The one and only Cliff Pace. That covered a lot of different stuff. Like I love those shows where you're not exactly sure where they're going to go. And then you're also learning along the way. So we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, wrap things up and talk about what we got going on the rest of the week. It's BTL on Wednesday. We'll be back right after this.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
Beatdown is efficient.
Rock solid.
100% American made. This thing is super tough. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere.
I've ran the Beatdown double stack from Florida all the way up to New York. And the one thing that I know is when I get to my fishing destination, I never have to worry about issues with my graph mount.
Your options are endless with these mounts, but they're steady, they're solid. These are the most reliable mounts on the market, and you can't go wrong with the Beatdown.
When you're ready to hit the water, Denali Fishing has you covered. Regardless of your skill level, from beginner all the way up to tournament pro, Denali has rods, reels, and tungsten to get the job done. Check them out at denalifishing.com.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
All right, welcome back. Wrapping things up here on a Wednesday. Big shout out to Cliff. Thanks for the hour and a half time. Tomorrow, day 4, I've been talking with Frank about it. Massive heat wave sweeping across the country. So Frank Scalish is going to talk about finding fish in hot water. When it's the summertime and you put it in, it's just muggy, sticky. You look down, it's like 85, 90 degree water. I know the BPT guys dealt with that on the Potomac. It's not chilly on the Chesapeake right now where the Bassmaster Open guys are competing, but just a lot of like inland lakes, the stagnant, like, what are you looking for? How do you find fish? And then next week we have Rick Pierce that's going to be on from Bass Cat. He's going to talk about ICAST in the past, also working on I got a really cool project. I like a 2-hour meeting last night with a company that's going to combine a lot of the what I think are the best elements of you guys, BTL listeners and viewers, give you an opportunity to be a part of something that's like very near and dear to my heart, but also allows you to get on the water and compete. That should be announced within the next couple of weeks. But the most excited I've been about something new that we're bringing into BTL in a long time. So that's all we got for today. Same time, same place tomorrow, day 4. I think it's number 210. I think my truck should be done today. Like, I like the Mustang. I was cruising with the top down yesterday. I don't know. I'm ready to be back in the truck though. I had a guy in a truck pull up next to me and I had the top down on the Mustang. He was very clearly judging me. Like very clearly was like, oh, look at that dude in a Mustang. Can't tow anything, can't carry anything with it. But I beat him off the line. So it's BTL. We'll talk to everyone tomorrow. See ya.